Amid all the upheaval, there has been increasing talk of a possible third-party candidacy, something many voters say they might be able to support. Fox News exit polling from 4 of the contests this week finds about 4 in 10 Republican primary voters say they would seriously consider voting for a third-party candidate in November if Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are the 2 nominees. But Trump himself suggests that would all but assure the Democrats of victory in November. Mark Thiessen is a Fox News contributor and former chief speechwriter for President George W. Bush. Dana Lash hosts Dana on the Blaze TV. Good to see you both. First of all, Mark, do you believe that if a third party cropped up, because we've seen reports of that just today, a big push to make that happen, we're going to get to that in a minute, that it would hand the White House to Hillary Clinton?
Oh, absolutely it would. I mean, I haven't seen anyone lay out a path to victory for, assuming you could find a candidate who had national appeal, assuming you could get them on ballot in all 50 states. No one has shown a path to victory. So all a third-party candidate would be at this point would be a way for conservatives to vote for Hillary Clinton without actually pulling the lever for Hillary Clinton. And I think there's some conservatives who, quite frankly, would be okay with that because their primary goal is to deny the presidency to Donald Trump because they think he would hurt the Republican Party as president. However, the problem is that if Hillary Clinton's elected, she gets to choose the replacement to Justice Scalia. She might be only be in office for 4 years, but whoever she picks will be on the court for 25 years.
She might not. She might not, because if she wins that election, those Republicans might start taking a hard look at Merrick Garland. Oh, he looks a lot better. Oh, we have a couple of months. On second thought, he does get a vote. But there may be other Supreme Court vacancies in the next, 8 years. Dana, you're a Cruz supporter. You know Never Trump people. Do you believe that they will come over to support Donald Trump in a general election?
I think a lot of them won't, Megan. And when you mentioned the exit polling as well, one of the things that I noticed in looking at all of the different exit polls from these states is just how unbelievably polarizing Donald Trump is as a candidate. I mean, when you think back to a lot of these Republican primary candidates, the nominee, or at least, before he was coronated the nominee as such, going into the convention, these people, they had it wrapped up pretty soon after Super Tuesday. But we're not there yet. And in fact, we still have a pretty long way to go. And I don't think that these people are going to go on over. These are individuals who are really standing on principle, and they're not going for popularity. And I don't think necessarily, I don't believe that this is their fault, Megan, either. I think this is the fault, I place the blame on 2 things. I place the blame on the Republican Party for allowing this to happen in the first place. If the Republican Party, Megan, didn't have such a fetish against grassroots conservatives and didn't have such a fetish for going after people like Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Mike Lee and people like Rand Paul, people who are actually doing the will of the people, I think that we'd be having a different conversation today. And I also blame impatience. I think there are a lot of people in America. Look, I am one of those people myself that are impatient. We are in a marathon, not a sprint, and it's going to take more than just a few election cycles to get more conservatives in the Senate and in the House.
She makes the establishment sound very saucy, Mark. All the fetishes they have. Like, take another look at what is they all about around those round tables in the back rooms? Okay, but back to serious business. We are seeing, what's been interesting so far this week is we are seeing some folks who didn't want either one of these candidates starting to congeal or get together. And it's interesting to watch who they choose. I mean, Lindsey Graham is now pushing for Ted Cruz. He just said that the Senate could kill Ted Cruz on the floor of the U.S. Senate, and if they had the trial in the Senate, no one would be convicted. So, Mark, as these Never Trump people are faced with a choice right now, because a lot of the Never Trump people secretly feel like never Cruz either.
Yeah, well, Ted Cruz is the only option. If you don't want Donald Trump, he's really the only person who has a path to the nomination. So if you don't want Donald Trump, step 1 is get behind Ted Cruz. Support him in the states. If it goes to the convention, support him in a contested convention, because he's the only one who can stop Donald Trump from getting to the nomination. But then if Donald Trump wins the nomination, if you start opposing him, I mean, I understand why people might oppose him. I would have to choke down my bile to vote for Donald Trump. But the Supreme Court is a real major wrench in the system right now, because now you have Justice Scalia's seat being up for grabs for the next president to choose. and that'll alter. Hillary Clinton in one term could cement a liberal majority in the court for 25 years. So what Donald Trump has to do now, if Donald Trump gets the nomination, he's got to win over those anti-Trump conservatives. Everyone's saying he's going to tack to the center, he's going to start moderating. It's not the case. He's got to go and win those people who are anti-Trump conservatives. Exactly. He's got to go win people and say, Donald Trump, who are you going to nominate for the Supreme Court? Name somebody. Tell us who you will nominate. If he nominates a real conservative and says during the campaign, I'll nominate so-and-so, and that's acceptable to conservatives, that could be enough to bring a lot of them over.
The issue, though, for people like Eric Erickson, who's behind this, is not who's he going to put on the Supreme Court. It's a fundamental moral issue. They don't think that he is a moral man. They feel like he's not going to be a pro-lifer, that he's not going to, I mean, that they feel like they'd rather go down voting for someone, even if they steal the vote from the Republican, for someone in whose convictions they believe, in whose character they believe.
Yeah, I think that's true, Megan. And we don't know, honestly. I mean, can anyone really say what Donald Trump is going to do if, and we still have a long way to go, and Cruz has been shortening that gap, and he's going to go out to close primaries to Western states where he's going to do well. But in looking at this, do we know what would happen during a Trump presidency? Can anyone say for certain? The guy has been all over the board, and that's the issue. I understand where these people are coming from. That's the issue that they have. They have no idea what they're getting. They know what they'd be getting with Hillary Clinton. They're not saying that they're going to support Hillary Clinton either, and I think that's a false equivalency for anybody to assert that not supporting Donald Trump is somehow supporting Hillary Clinton. But at the same time, I think that these people are looking at Alexander Hamilton's role, not wanting to be responsible for somebody like Trump, as opposed to Buckley's role. I've been hearing a lot of talk about Hamilton's role in these
Buckley's role is
days.
elect the most conservative electable candidate. Great to see you both.
Thanks, Megan.